So it's the last day of 2022. I did not want the year to end without at least driving my 124 one more time. Red is out of the question, obviously, because it has no fuel hoses installed at the moment, so blue-black is going to get the ride today. And yes, it does dry nicely after washing with the fan blowing on it, especially in today's weather. So I'm back on this cursed road that almost got me killed in red last time I drove it up here when the suction line from the fuel tank collapsed as I was turning around the corner into a 100km/h zone in front of a speeding vehicle. I thought in ordinary circumstances I would have easily been able to pull away from it because that's just how red drives, but yeah, you can't take that stuff for granted. When something goes wrong, often it will happen at the worst possible time. So I don't have that concern with blue-black. I'm driving nice and sensibly on this nice and peaceful drive. This, by the way, is blue-black's cruising engine temperature. That's where it always sits. It's about 30 degrees or so, or just under 30 degrees. That's where this car is always sat. It does have the correct factory specified thermostat. Yeah, there is optionally a cooler one, but I don't care. It's happy the way it is. Doesn't give me any troubles at all. This car doesn't lose any coolant. It is fantastic, and it's very fuel efficient as well. I'll always get at least 500 kilometers out of a tank in this car. Coincidentally, this tank is filled with the fuel that I salvaged from Red's tank. Rather than wasting it, I just transferred it all straight into blue-black, and so I'm actually getting some enjoyment out of it. And I'm going to take it on a nice, decent long drive today, give it some exercise. It was quite noisy to begin with because the tyres had developed flat spots from sitting around for so long. Yes, it is quite shameful, but they're nice and quiet now because they're nice and hot and they're round again. All you got to do is give it some exercise before it gets dire. So I will continue on my drive. I never did see the attraction of this place, but now that I accidentally came here, I can actually understand it. I can see myself retiring in a place like this. The prices are quite cheap for massive blocks of land. Just bear in mind, these are the same prices you'll pay in my area for an absolute dog kennel size block of land. It's not even that far away. 45 minutes by car. And you can have an absolutely massive shed. And I didn't read that correctly the first time I saw that. Holy crap. That's 10,000 square meters for $239,000. That's insane. hell is that noise? There's some kind of massive vacuum leak. I strongly suspect the hissing noise is simply coming from the throttle body, but I sure don't remember it ever being this loud before, and it certainly isn't this loud on my red car. Like, I can actually hear it hissing from outside the car with the filter installed and the hood closed. It's never been that loud before. It made me quite alarmed when I heard it. It's possible my throttle body is actually just starting to wear out. Most alarming thing I noticed was there's actually rat droppings inside my engine bay. They're far too big to be mouse. That's definitely rat, and they can do some serious damage. I'm going to have to start putting bait in this engine bay as well, because that's just not on. They could completely destroy the car and even burn it to the ground if they chew the wrong thing. So today's drive, while technically it was successful, didn't really have any major issues. Just two concerns. When I first started driving the car, I noticed upshift weirdness. If you're not aware, these 8-pin EZL cars, like these 104 980s, they do have a function whereby there's a switch on the side of the transmission, and during certain upshifts under heavy load, it actually reduces engine output to smooth out the shifts. And when that occurred, I basically lost all engine power momentarily. And the other concern that I noticed, I was going up a very slight incline at a very particular throttle position, and the engine was pinging constantly. And these do have knock control, so that should never happen. Basically, I had to reduce the amount of throttle until the EZL realized it was pinging, and then it retarded the ignition and it was all fine. I'm not sure what's going on there. Is my EZL starting to die, or have rodents chewed up my knock sensor harness? That's entirely possible, because as you would have seen, there is mouse droppings in my engine bay. And if that's happened, that's going to be exceptionally disappointing, because that knock sensor has been discontinued for a long time and they're basically unobtainable. And they are different to the 3.2 litre versions. They're tuned specifically for the 3 litre block. Having said that, I do have the standard 3 litre knock sensors on my red car, and that's now more than 3.2 litres with the 990 crankshaft, and that works perfectly. So who knows? I think it's more a concern about the particular block than what's inside it. But anyway, we'll have to check this out later. Before shutting down the engine, I also checked the EZL and the ECU for any diagnostic trouble codes, and there was 0. So there's nothing to report from either. Not sure.